You know, life can change in an instant. One moment, everything feels familiar, safe, and the next, everything you know is up in smoke, literally. This is my story of how I never thought I'd lose everything in a fire, move across the world for 2 months, and end up back where it all started trying to rebuild. Before everything happened, I was living in Brooklyn. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. You know that feeling when life feels just normal, exciting? You go through your routine, hang out with your friends, chase dreams, thinking the next day will be the same. And then life throws something at you that you couldn't have predicted. Today I'm sharing my journey from losing my home, moving abroad, and now getting my life back together, back in Atlanta, Georgia. In a matter of hours, everything was gone. It felt unreal. I mean, how do you even begin to process that? It wasn't just losing stuff, it was losing a part of who I was, a chapter I wasn't ready to close. I was at a job at the World Trade Center. I then get a text from my friend slash neighbor telling me that the roof of our apartment building is on fire. I rushed to Brooklyn from the city. Honestly, that whole 45-minute train ride, I was praying so hard that this would be a quick fix and that I would be able to go to sleep in my own bed that night. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. From that day on, my life changed drastically. First of all, the whole situation was extremely exhausting. Dealing with landlords and property management in New York, bro, is literally exhausting. Because 90% of them are slumlords. All they care about is money and making money. The frustrating part was the fact that our landlord is a female and she could care less about what happened to the tenants that lived in that building. Mind you, everybody in that building was a female of color, young females. And instead of reaching out to any other landlords in the area to see if there are any other apartments, instead of giving us just an ounce of hope, you feel me? Just some type of support, hope, love, care. Apparently, this fire was caused by.
So, you said I was leaning? You said the car was leaning? Yeah. So, God forbid if that falls and somebody not upstairs. You know what I'm saying? So, it have to be secure. That's why they vacated.
So, you said cigarettes would be put out where?
No, let me show you.
The whole situation is just a lot. It's a lot. Thank God I live with a really good friend of mine in the apartment building, so we're at a motel. Now I have to figure out where I'm gonna live, what I'm gonna do. I trust God, I do, completely. Just stressed out. I'm still grieving. my sanctuary. I'm still grieving my space. I'm extremely grateful that no one got hurt. I'm extremely grateful to still have my life, my breath. I show gratitude for that every day. It's so, like, grief is such an interesting concept because I'm trying to really just learn the art of detachment through this grieving process. And I'm giving myself grace, or at least I'm trying to. I'm still heartbroken by this situation. It still feels so unreal to have just lost my home like that. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. I was so happy in New York. I was so happy. I felt so secure. I felt like I was growing. I was tapping into who I am creativity wise. I was tapping into my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health, and I was doing everything right. So for this fire to happen, and for me having to move back to my mother's home, it's heartbreaking because I can't tap into the level of independence that I was tapping into previously. Like, this year was such a beautiful year for me. When I tell you I've been going through a whirlwind of emotions, I still am to this day. Losing my home has literally knocked me off my course of life so much, so much. I was curating so much in that space. I was building a space of love and creation. I was learning so much about myself. And just like that, gone. Gone, bro. Literally traumatizing. Literally the most traumatizing thing I've been through. This disruption has highlighted a lot of personal realizations for me. Literal practices of detachment. Literal practices of shifting my mindset within the midst of depression. And let me tell you, this shit is hard. Hard. Losing my home was one of the hardest things I've ever had to face. But I've come to understand that everything happens for a reason. Pain is a part of growth, and while it doesn't always make sense in the moment, I trust that God is working everything out in my favor. Even in the deepest moments of depression, I've stayed resilient. I've learned to lean into the faith I have in myself and in God's plan. This journey hasn't been easy, but it's shaping me into someone stronger, someone who knows her worth and her purpose. I'm grateful for where I've been, and I'm even more excited for where I'm heading. initially I wanted to live abroad, but with everything happening so quickly, I wasn't able to properly provide visa stability for me to stay over there. So I can only stay there for a total of 90 days. So I eventually had to return to the US. And I was trying so hard to find housing that made sense, that I can afford, in a, you feel me? Like I wanted it to make sense. But with me being here in Atlanta, this shit don't even make sense. So I'm trying my hardest to get my mental right, to get my money right. And I want to get the fuck out of here. I do. I feel so unmotivated. I feel so unhealthy. I feel like a burden here.